which is International Webinar and Meet and Greet with NASPO and I2ASPO Organizers. The Honorable Mr. Deni Irawan as President of Indonesian Young Scientists Association, Profesor Dr. Soehardjoepri M.Si as Head of Actuaria Department 10 November Institute of Technology, Surabaya, and also Profesor Dr. Anuja Malik as our today's webinar speaker, and best greetings to all audiences. Let me introduce myself as a Master of Ceremony in today's webinar. Sedikit Yayuhadi representing Indonesian Young Scientists Association of Webinar Committee tonight. Please give a round of virtual applause. Thank you. This tonight's webinar conduct three main events. First of all, initial meet and greet with I2ASPO and NASPO Organizer by Mr. Deni Irawan as President of IYSA and Profesor Soehardjoepri as Head of Actuaria Department 10 November Institute of Technology di Surabaya. All the participants can freely ask the questions about I2ASPO and NASPO events that will be conducted in December 2022, and that will be having a second webinar with the title How to Make a Good Expanded Abstract, brought by Professor Prof. And last but not least, we also gain a research methodology knowledge from Professor Dr. Anuja Malik from India. Before we proceed to the next agenda, I would like to remind all of us here about the rule of this webinar. First of all audiences must turn on their camera.
Recording in progress.
Turn on their camera and turn off their microphone. Second, a certificate will only be distributed to those who stay until the end of the webinar and fill the registration link. Third, make sure your internet connection is stable. Fourth, during the Q&A sessions, audiences can send questions using the format name_institution_questions, and the questions will be stored out by MC. Plus, if by anything you left the room automatically without you knowing, you may rejoin. Okay, I think it's clear enough, yeah? And would also like to remind you that you can also watch this webinar or live streaming through IYSA official YouTube channel. Before we proceed to the next agenda, I would like to remind you all that this is the third year for the Indonesia International Applied Science Project Olympiad, or I2ASPO, and National Applied Science Project Olympiad, or NASPO, and there were 280 teams from 14 countries participating in I2ASPO and NASPO 2021. This event won't be held successfully without enormous support from our partners and all the representative countries. There are several categories we can participate on I2ASPO and NASPO 2022. They are waste treatment, IoT and its application, functional food, energy, research on children with special needs, and entrepreneurship. Hopefully, we can soon meet up on NASPO and I2ASPO 2022 opening ceremony and competition expo in December 2022. So, if you are curious about what's so special about I2ASPO and NASPO this year, we'll present to you NASPO and I2ASPO promotion video. For the committee, you may share the screen.
Halo Young Scientist, seperti yang kalian tahu, di bulan Desember nanti IYSA akan mengadakan event kami bersama dengan Departemen Aktuaria ITS. Nah, saat ini saya dan tim sedang berada di pusat robotika di mana event I2ASPO akan diselenggarakan. Mau tahu gimana sih venue-nya? Yuk ikut kami intip.
Yes, as we all know, this year IYSA collaborating with Actuaria Department 10 November Institute of Technology, Surabaya will hold I2ASPO and NASPO 2022 in Surabaya. And to all participants who are curious about I2ASPO and NASPO regulations, starting with all the document requirements and regulations about the event and everything you should prepare for NASPO and I2ASPO this year. Now we have invited a special guest from Institut Teknologi 10 November. Is the head of Actuaria Department 10 November, Institute of Technology, Surabaya. Please welcome Professor Dr. Soehardjoepri. Hello, Professor Joepri. Can you hear my voice?
Halo, Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam. Hello, thank you so much, Professor Joepri, for attending tonight's webinar. So, Mr. Joepri will explain briefly about terms and condition, regulation, and everything that we should know about I2ASPO and NASPO 2022. So, without further ado, for Professor Joepri, the time is yours.
Okay, everybody. I'm Soehardjoepri from Department Actuaria in ITS. I want to give you about this Department Actuaria. I think it's a brief video in Department Actuaria. After this, I want to give you about make abstract, explain it. Okay, please, Mrs. Srikandi Ayu. Yes, okay.
Surabaya merupakan kota terbesar kedua di Indonesia setelah Jakarta, dengan populasi penduduk yang telah mencapai kurang lebih 3 juta jiwa. Saat ini, Surabaya telah menjadi kota metropolis dengan keberagamannya. Selain itu, kota Surabaya juga dikenal sebagai pusat bisnis, perdagangan, industri, dan pendidikan di Indonesia. Salah satu kampus negeri terbesar yang terletak di kota ini adalah Institut Teknologi 10 November atau dikenal sebagai ITS. Terdapat berbagai program studi yang meliputi berbagai bidang keilmuan di ITS, di mana salah satunya adalah program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria. Program studi ini berada di bawah Departemen Aktuaria, Fakultas Sains dan Analitika Data. Didirikan pada tahun 2018, Departemen Aktuaria telah berkomitmen untuk membantu pemerintah dalam mensukseskan program 1000 aktuaris, serta pengembangan keilmuan dan penelitian aktuaria di Indonesia. Berdasarkan data dari Persatuan Aktuaris Indonesia, saat ini jumlah aktuaris yang telah mendapatkan gelar Fellow Aktuaris masih berada di bawah angka 500. Dengan demikian, masih dibutuhkan banyak tenaga-tenaga aktuaris handal untuk mengisi beberapa sektor pekerjaan yang berkaitan dengan keilmuan aktuaria.
Departemen Aktuaria mempunyai 3 ciri di ITS ini dibanding aktuaria yang lain, yaitu penekanan pada asuransi syariah, asuransi bencana, asuransi maritim, dan ada kebumian. Dan ini menjadikan hal yang baru di tingkat aktuaria di Indonesia.
Mahasiswa di program studi sarjana Sains Aktuaria akan menerima pembelajaran yang telah dibentuk berdasarkan kurikulum minimal aktuaria nasional dan internasional. serta disesuaikan dengan kebutuhan di pasar kerja. Untuk menghasilkan lulusan yang mampu menguasai bidang keilmuan aktuaria dan siap bekerja, maka setiap mahasiswa akan dibekali dengan berbagai macam pembelajaran yang meliputi keilmuan aktuaria, keilmuan matematika, pemrograman komputer, teori peluang dan statistika, penggunaan software di bidang statistika dan aktuaria, soft skill, serta keterampilan umum dan khusus lainnya.
Aktuaria ITS itu satu-satunya departemen yang berdiri sendiri, bukan merupakan prodi. Jadi kurikulum aktuaria ITS ini udah terfokus ke aktuaria dari awal. Sisi positifnya menjadi departemen baru adalah kami sering mendapatkan fasilitas-fasilitas yang tidak didapatkan oleh teman-teman di departemen lain. Misalnya kuliah tamu yang rutin di awal semester, fasilitas yang cukup memadai, dan juga kemudahan di dalam akademik.
Bidang yang saya senangi di aktuaria adalah ekonomi, programming, serta aktuaria itu sendiri. Mengapa? Karena saya sangat tertarik untuk meningkatkan ekonomi di Indonesia dengan cara mengurangi resiko tinggi yang diambil dari suatu perusahaan. Selain itu, ITS juga selalu mengembangkan jurusan aktuaria mulai dari akademik, non-akademik, fasilitas, hingga dosen yang selalu ditingkatkan tingkat pendidikannya agar kami dapat bersaing dengan aktuaris di seluruh dunia.
Guna menunjang kegiatan belajar dan mengajar, maupun penelitian bagi dosen dan mahasiswa, Departemen Aktuaria telah dilengkapi dengan berbagai macam fasilitas yang meliputi beberapa ruang kelas dengan kapasitas sampai dengan 50 orang mahasiswa per kelasnya. Laboratorium aktuaria yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang penelitian dan pembelajaran di bidang komputasi aktuaria. Perpustakaan yang dapat digunakan bagi mahasiswa untuk mencari buku-buku referensi dan berdiskusi. Gedung Menara Sains yang dapat digunakan untuk menunjang kegiatan mahasiswa di luar kegiatan perkuliahan. Departemen Aktuaria ITS siap melahirkan aktuaris muda yang berkompeten serta siap terlibat dalam industri asuransi di Indonesia.
Bergabunglah bersama kami di Aktuaria
ITS.
Thank you so much.
Okay, this is a video from Departemen Aktuaria Institut Teknologi 10 November, Surabaya. Okay.
Thank you so much for Mr. Joepri for introducing us about the venue of NASPO and I2ASPO 2022. And now, maybe I'm once again reminding you guys that this year's I2ASPO and NASPO will be not conducted successfully without a wonderful collaboration between IYSA and Aktuaria Departemen 10 November Institute of Technology. And maybe a little information for you guys that I2ASPO and NASPO 2022 will be held hybrid. So it will be held both online and offline competitions. And the venue, it's in Aktuaria Departemen ITS Surabaya, Indonesia. And for the schedule of online and offline competitions, for the registration deadline, it's on maximum 11 November 2022. And for the submission deadline is on November 20th, 2022. For the opening ceremony will be conducted on December 9th, 2022. And also there will be judging sessions, inventors talk, webinar, and last but not least, awarding ceremony. And I will also remind you guys that there are 6 categories you can participate on. There are waste treatment, IoT and its applications, functional food, energy, research on children with special needs, and also entrepreneurship. So if you guys are interested in those field, you can submit your research on NASPO and I2ASPO 2022. And also maybe if you guys have the questions about I2ASPO and NASPO events this year, you can freely drop your questions in chat room with format name _institution_questions. And if you want to ask the question directly to all the organizer, you can just raise your hand and we will unmute your microphone. So we will open for the Q&A sessions. And also maybe I would like to welcome Mr. Deni Irawan. Maybe you want to add up informations about this event, Mr. Deni?
Okay, thank you very much, Ayu. Hello, Assalamualaikum, Professor Jupri. How are you today?
Waalaikumsalam. Okay.
And also, Ms. Anuja Malik, thank you very much for your attending this event. Yeah, NASPO and I2ASPO are collaboration event between IYSA and Departemen Aktuaria, Institut Teknologi 10 November. It was the third time we collaborate with Aktuaria to host National Applied Science Project Olympiad and International Applied Science Project Olympiad 2022. I hope this event will be conducted successfully during 9 until 12 December 2022. And for your information, NASPO and I2ASPO are the closing event of IYSA of this year. And we hope you can participate in this event. And also we provide two platforms, offline and online. If you want to try offline, and also you can also join in online, up to you. We are very welcome for all of you to participate in our event. Maybe that's all, Ayu. If there is any question, please free, don't hesitate to ask the committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Deni Irawan, for your additional info about I2ASPO and NASPO event 2022. Maybe for Professor Jupri, you want to add info about maybe actuary department maybe or ITS campus?
Yeah, I think it's enough about this information in video. And then NASPO in ASPO, Mr. Dennis give information. I think it's enough about this.
Okay, thank you so much, Professor Jupri, for the answers. And maybe while waiting for the questions from the participants, we all know that we have a lot of participants tonight. Thank you so much, guys, for attending. And they are both Indonesia and also international participants. Maybe one questions that comes in our mind is it open for just Indonesia participants or is it open also for international participants for I2ASPO and NASPO events this year? Maybe for Mr. Deni Irawan?
Yeah, you?
Yeah. So maybe some of us are curious about, is it this event is it open just for Indonesia participants or also open for international participants?
Yeah, this event is open for all participants, Indonesia and international participants, start from elementary, secondary, and university. So we welcome all of you, the students around the world, from elementary, secondary, and university to participate in this event.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr. Deni. for
My pleasure.
the answer. So we're still waiting for the questions from the participants. Maybe you want to ask about the regulations, about the documents requirement, maybe. Okay, what we should prepare, what we should submit for the NASPO I2ASPO, so freely to ask us on the chat room.
Yeah, maybe I will add some information that SMS that our another event that we need to there is two assessment. The first document assessment, so the participant must submit their extended abstract in the first, and the committee will select the best extended abstract that can join to this event. And the second, after the participants after the abstract from the participants selected, so the so the participants can join in the online judging session or offline judging session. For online judging session, the participant must prepare their PowerPoint for presenting in front of the to the judge, maybe 15 minutes, 7 for presentation and 9 minutes for asking question. And for the offline session, the participant must bring the poster, the scientific poster, for presenting in front of the judge. The judge will come to a booth and ask the participants about their research. And I think the time SMS with the online judging session, 15 minutes. During 15 minutes, the judge asks the participants about their project.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Deni Irawan, for the information about document requirements. So maybe for all the participants who are interested in participating in NASPO and I2ASPO this year, you can just visit our Instagram page on IYSA official, or maybe you can also visit our events official Instagram page, which is I2ASPO official and NASPO official. Maybe if there is no questions from the participants, we can move on to the next agenda. Now we'll learn and gain knowledge about how to make an ideal extended abstract. Like as I mentioned before from Mr. Deni Irawan, like extended abstract is one of the important document requirements when you participate in research competitions, including I2ASPO and NASPO. So in this webinar session, you can leverage to increase your research skills and improve your abstract quality. So maybe without further ado, we're gonna move on to the webinar sessions brought by Professor Dr. Soehardjoepri. Professor Joepri, the time is yours.
Okay, number of tricks to make the abstract as concise as possible, such as using short bullet point, paraphrasing, or using image and graph to help the reader understand the information. The abstract should be written in the same style that your paper is writing it. The abstract should be the double space and written in standard font, such as Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri. The abstract should be written in the present tense. What is extended abstract? The extended abstract is a summary of your paper. Write in the past tense, you should write in the very end your paper, and should also include a summary of the paper main point in the abstract. The summary should be a brief description of the main point you are going to make in your paper, if it should include. An extended abstract should not include the result of your study, your method, or any conclusion you might drop. It should also not include any reference. You can write an extended abstract in 1 hour. You can also write an abstract in as little as 1 hour if you know how. You should be careful when you are writing the abstract. However, you must avoid using too much jargon and technical terms because they can confuse your reader. How do I write an abstract for research paper? Write an abstract in an integral part of any paper. The abstract provides a brief summary of your paper and should be between 150 and 250 words in length. It should be written in the past tense. The abstract should be divided into 3 parts. The introduction should begin on a new page and it must be double-spaced. It should include the following information: your name, your research paper title, your research question, the title of the paper in capital letter, the name of your university, your supervisor name, your department name, and the names of your school, the date of the paper complete. The methodology section in the second part of the abstract. Here you should be provide a brief description of the procedure that we use to answer your research question. The methodology section include the following information: your name, the name of your university, the name of your supervisor, the name of school, the date edition, and a brief statement of significance of your research. The results section in the final section of the abstract. Here you summarize the result of your research and explain the relevance to your research question. The result section include the following information: the discussion, conclusion, reference. The discussion section of an extended abstract in the last part of the abstract, and is it the most important part of the paper. You interpret your result. You should explain why your results are significant and why they help answer your research question. Conclusion. The conclusion is the final part of the extended abstract. Here you wrap up everything and draw a final conclusion. Here you summarize the paper and draw your conclusion. You should explain why your results are important and how they help answer your research question. Reference. You should include all reference used in the paper. In the section, it is a list of all of the source used in the paper. It should be in the past tense and it should be double-spaced. Now, how I do write an expanded abstract for research paper? The extended abstract is important section of a research paper. The section provides a brief summary of your entire paper. How do you write abstract for research paper? Write abstract section. The section will be the final section of your research paper. Here you will provide the background and the significance of your study, describe the study in the first few sentences, give a brief overview of the main finding of conclusion, provide your interpretation, and evaluate the relevancy and effectiveness of the research. Provide a brief statement of your research question and brief discuss of your hypothesis. Provide an overview of your research methodology. Provide a brief statement on your research design and brief discussion. Discuss your data collecting method. Provide an overview of your statistical method. Write an introduction The introduction should be brief and clear. The abstract should include the brief overview of your study and include the research question. It should not be more than one paragraph and should begin on a new page. Write your introduction. The abstract should include your research question, the key finding of your study, and a brief statement of your conclusion. How long should an extended abstract to be? The length of an extended abstract will vary depending on the paper and the journal guidelines. However, most will require an abstract of between 100 and 300 words, and abstract for journal articles should typically around 200, 400 words, and abstract for conference paper should typically be around 150 to 100 words. How many keywords should be in the extended abstract? The number of keywords in the determined by the journal and the conference you're presenting is for. For example, the International Committee of Medical Journal Editor recommended that the abstract should be between 150 until 200 words. However, some journals limit the number of keywords to around 10 or 15. How to write abstract for a research paper? Keywords are important to keep in mind when you select a keyword for your abstract. Keywords should be relevant to your study. For example, if your paper is about a new drug that has only recently been approved, you might choose the exclude keywords that are not applicable or common to the subject area. I think it's enough about this presentation about why you how about you do write an extended abstract. Okay, Miss Ayu, I give to you about MC this now.
Yes.
I think it's enough about presentation. Okay.
Thank you so much for your wonderful sharing sessions about.
Akan di NASPO sama I2ASPO itu akan ada yang namanya extended abstract. So materi ini sangat penting agar audien atau peserta itu bisa membuatnya secara benar. Ya, itu intinya itu aja.
Okay, maybe I will explain to Dr. Anuja. So, what inspired Professor Joepri for explaining about this topic tonight? It's because extended abstract is one of the documents that is required in the I2ASPO and NASPO 2022, and by conducted this webinar, Professor Joepri hoped that all the audiences or maybe all the participants have already understand about how to make an ideal extended abstract and how to make a proper extended abstract. Is that answering your questions, Dr.
Yes,
Anuja?
thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much also, Dr. Anuja, for questions. Maybe there is another questions. Maybe you can freely ask in Indonesians, guys. If you are too afraid to ask in English, it's okay. We can do bilingual tonight.
Saya mau ngirim file tentang PPT tadi, kok nggak bisa ya, Mbak? Di chat. Mungkin untuk peserta barangkali membutuhkan.
Mungkin bisa dikirim lewat WA aja nggih, Pak. Kalau misalnya sulit.
Ya, ini. Oke, saya tak buka WA-nya ya.
Kita bisa share di WA grupnya, soalnya ada WA
Ya,
grupnya.
oke.
Terima kasih banyak.
Kirim ke Mbak Umay ya.
Boleh.
Saya kirim ke Mbak
Silakan,
Umay.
Oke, siap. Mungkin Mbak Umay nanti bisa langsung forward aja ya ke grup WA-nya.
Sudah.
Terima kasih banyak Prof untuk materinya. Semoga tadi materinya bisa berguna ya untuk teman-teman partisipan semua, dan sebelum mendaftarkan, karena ada I2ASPO dan NASPO. Kalau nggak salah ya, I2ASPO dan NASPO itu kan kalau NASPO nasional, jadi bisa bahasa Indonesia ya Prof ya? Benar nggak?
Iya.
Jadi bisa jadi kesempatan buat teman-teman gitu, kalau misalnya kurang bagus bahasa Inggrisnya, bisa ikut yang NASPO atau yang nasional gitu. So maybe a little
Yang dari
information.
Indonesia mungkin bisa tanya pakai bahasa Indonesia, boleh?
Boleh Pak, silakan. Kami
Ya,
membuka
monggo
pertanyaan.
silakan.
Mumpung ada ahlinya malam ini. So if you guys want to ask questions in Indonesia, you can freely ask. Don't waste the chance, guys. We have the Dr. Jupri here. Yes? Oh, I thought that someone is on mute. Okay. Maybe I want to ask Indonesia questions, one Indonesian questions. Profesor Jupri, satu aja pertanyaan.
Oke, please.
Ya, mungkin bisa dalam bahasa Indonesia juga.
Boleh.
Kira-kira apa yang membedakan extended abstract itu bagus atau enggak gitu? Jadi biasa ada poin-poin apa aja nih yang bisa bikin Prof Jupri tahu, oh ini bagus, oh ini kayak kurang gitu. Biasanya apa? Di Prof kalau misalnya menilai.
Jadi bilingual ya. Ciri-ciri extended abstract yang baik itu mereka menulis abstraknya tidak lebih dari 150 sampai 250 kata. Ada pendahuluannya, ada metodologi, hasil dan diskusi. Udah, itu ciri-ciri extended abstract yang bagus. Kalau abstrak itu cuma abstrak saja yang bersifat rangkaian daripada beberapa hal ringkasan makalah, ya, yang itu tidak lebih dari 300 kata. Tapi kalau extended abstract itu selain abstraknya itu sendiri, ada pendahuluan yang sifatnya pendek, ada metodologi yang pendek, hasilnya juga begitu, ada diskusinya, jadi dan disimpulkan baru ada referen. Jadi tidak full paper, tapi meringkas full paper itu dalam bentuk dengan kategori tadi, ada abstrak, pendahuluan, metodologi, hasil diskusi dan kesimpulan. Ada referen pasti. Bagaimana cara menulis abstrak ending ini agar menjadi baik? Tidak bisa dipungkiri bahwa harus ringkasannya tadi kontennya masuk. Sudah itu aja. Intinya itu.
Jadi semua kontennya masuk ya Prof ya. Jadi tadi mulai dari introductions, metodologi,
ada introduction, results, discuss, metodologinya ini. Tapi tidak full paper ya, meringkas. Itu extended abstract.
Berarti singkat, padat, dan jelas gitu ya. Dan
kegagalan peserta atau kegagalan paper di jurnal terhadap extended abstract itu biasanya tidak connect, not connect antara paper dengan extended abstract. Antara konten dengan itu kadang-kadang nggak connect. Ini juga seringkali saya lihat gagalan di sana. Yang kedua, tidak mengekspresikan bagaimana konten-konten yang ada di paper, full papernya. Gitu. Itu juga hal yang akan ini. Yang terakhir, terlalu pendek. Jadi tidak mengeksplor apa yang ada di paper itu, jika akhirnya bingung itu, kok loncat-loncat itu, tidak urut gitu ya, dan sebagainya. Ya.
Oke, ya. Terima kasih Prof atas penjelasannya. thank you so much. So maybe I will conclude about Professor Joepri answers about how to classify a good extended abstract and a bad extended abstract. Usually, a good extended abstract is include 150 words to 200 words, and also it contains from introductions and also methodology, results, and also discussion. So you have to put all of your research and 150 words to 200 words in extended abstract in precisely and also as simple as possible, but all of the contents are there. Okay, we have questions from the participants. What is difference between journal and extended abstract? Apa bedanya jurnal dan extended abstract, Prof?
Oh iya, jadi kalau sudah ditanya itu jelas beda ya. Kalau jurnal itu lebih detail dari apa yang diriset ya. Kalau extended abstract ini artinya perpanjangan dari abstrak, namanya extended itu perpanjangan dari abstrak. Jadi kalau full paper itu ada di jurnal. Oke. Extended abstract ini seringkali misalkan ada lomba-lomba, ada apa, sehingga dewan juri itu tidak membaca full paper, cukup extended abstract cukup. Bagaimana kalau abstrak saja? Abstrak saja kadang-kadang belum bisa dewan juri bisa memberikan penilaian terhadap papernya. Jadi bedanya dengan jurnal adalah kalau jurnal itu full paper hasil riset, extended abstract ini adalah menerangkan konten-konten yang ada di paper jurnal itu sehingga pembaca lebih cepat mengertinya, kena kontennya. Kalau mau detail ada di paper jurnal. Itu.
Oke, jadi aku jelasin itu ya, Prof. Ya. Ini jelasin dalam bahasa Inggris. So for the answer, what is the difference between journal and extended abstract? Maybe if you write a full paper about your research, from introductions to result and discussions, maybe it contains 1 to maybe 100 pages. It's called a full paper or a journal. But extended abstract, it's more like what we call that. Wait. We call as a simpler form of your journals. So you write about all the contents. About the summary of your research. Mm-hmm. So you summarize all your project into an abstract that contains maybe 100 to 200 words. And usually it is positions in the first page of the journal. Biasa ditaruh di halaman pertama ya, Prof ya. Biasanya kalau abstrak itu ya.
Iya, abstrak selalu di depan.
So all the readers can understand about the outline and also the summary of the journal based on the abstract. And maybe the last questions, Prof, from Keisha. Okay. She wants to ask about how to make a good extended abstract that is good to read from the reader. As you mentioned before, if the extended abstract, it should be as simple as possible, but sometimes it's not too eye-catching for the reader. Jadi bagaimana cara membuat extended abstract yang simple, yang ringkas, tapi tetap menarik, Prof? Silakan.
Ya, jadi tidak bisa dipungkiri bahwa extended abstract ini adalah salah satu ciri seseorang yang bisa mengeksplor dengan batasan-batasan kata yang tidak full paper tadi, tapi pembaca atau juri kalau itu lomba itu langsung bisa mengerti. Makanya dibatasi dengan banyaknya kata. Itu intinya cuma itu aja. Bagaimana mengeksplor diri dari full paper to abstract and extended abstract. Sehingga pembaca, dewan juri sudah bisa mengerti, oh ini risetnya ini, sudah cukup jelas. Makanya tadi di dalam extended abstract itu hanya diperlukan pada posisi yaitu menyangkut hal-hal yang tidak terlalu banyak, tapi dia sudah merangkum hal-hal yang ada di itu, yaitu menyangkut apa tadi? Menyangkut tentang bagaimana, nah ini. Jadi ada abstraknya, ada introduction, ada metodologi, result, discuss, conclusion. This is extended abstract. So untuk memperjelasnya seperti itu. Ya, Pak.
Jadi kuncinya adalah di pemilihan kata ya, dan bagaimana cara kita menceritakannya gitu ya. Menceritakan sesimpel mungkin gitu ya. Jadi pemilihan kata juga salah satu hal yang penting.
Tapi sudah bisa mengeksplor.
Tapi juga pemilihan katanya yang bisa menjelaskan banyak makna gitu ya. Jadi satu kalimat tuh bisa menjelaskan banyak makna.
Bisa dengan grafik, bisa dengan tabel, dengan itu.
Okay. So maybe a tips for the participants who wants to make a good extended abstract. Professor Joepri said that a word choice in making extended abstract is one of the main tips. You can choose the word that is you can explore, you can explain about your research and in a proper way by using the right words. So by storytelling about your projects in a extended abstract, it makes the judges can understand about your projects. Thank you so much, Keisha, for the questions. Maybe that's the end of the Q&A sessions for the first webinar. Thank you so much, Professor Joepri, for sharing with us tonight.
I want to say closing statement about this participant. We become what we think about. We become what we think about. So move on and never give up. Okay? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you so much, Professor Joepri.
Welcome.
Thank you so much, Professor Joepri, for sharing with us in tonight's webinar. Next, moving on to the next agenda. After we get sharing session about the extended abstract, now we're going to discuss about research methodology with Professor Dr. Anuja Malik from India. Thank you so much, Dr. Anuja. Hello, Dr. Anuja. Can you hear my voice?
Hello, good evening. Hello, Ms. Deni. Hello.
Hello, Ms. Anuja. Thank you so much for attending.
Thank you so much for the invite. Namaste.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Now we're gonna moving on to the next agenda, which is the second webinar brought by Dr. Anuja Malik. Now we're gonna discuss about research methodology. So for Dr. Anuja, the time is yours.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Hope you all are doing great. So today I can see so many people have joined today. Very good evening, everybody. Heartiest welcome to this webinar. I am Dr. Anuja Malik, as I'm already been introduced. And today I will try my level best to go with the great learnings from today's topic. I really appreciate interactive audience as well. Definitely, this is the platform where I will be speaking, but I want you also to connect with me by responding through chat boxes as well. So it should be lively, interactive audiences today. All right. So please write in the chat box what topic we are going to discuss today. Quickly, let me see how much the people are aware over here. Let me see the chat box. Let me see. Okay. So you all are correct that we will discuss about the research methods. Now, before I start, I would like to tell that I will start in a simple and lucid manner because this topic, research methods or research, methodology sounds like rocket science for many of us. So research method is part of your research. As simple as that. Whether you are writing a paper or doing your thesis, so I'll try that it would be informative for each one of us. So I will share my screen with you. I hope the screen is visible. Moderator?
Yes, visible.
Okay.
Miss.
Okay. So the topic, research methodology and research methods. Let's talk about little bit about research graduates, which is basically your research friend. Because we are there to help you, assist you in terms of providing you the services when it comes to your topic selection, as there are so many topics to choose. So a research graduate is there with you start from your topic selection till the finalization. So whether it is review paper writing, statistical analysis, editing, proofreading, and formatting, research graduate is there with you. So basically, you can understand research graduate as one-step solution for your research queries. So what is research? The answer is itself in the question. When you are searching about one definition or topic again and again, so that is research. To talk about a particular concern, topic by way of using various methods, when you are understanding a particular topic by the help of few scientific methods, that means you are doing research. It's a process, the process which has to be a systematic one. So in a layman language, for example, if someone is cooking, then he or she has to ignite the flame in the beginning itself, not at the last. So research, where each step has its own solution and meaning. So we can say it predicts something unique. All right. Now, when we talk about type of research, it is classified as inductive and deductive. I think we can see it on the screen. In inductive method, they analyze an observed event, and in deductive method, it verifies the observed event. Now you can see the difference. Now in the first method, it gives you an overview of the title or a method, while deductive method, it deduces something. That verification, logical explanation, statistical explanation is being given in this research. Now we see qualitative research is being done in inductive method, while quantitative research is followed by deductive methods. So I think this difference is quite clear. Research is basically to find out the reasoning going behind, to evaluate the validity of the hypothesis or an interpretive framework, to assemble a body of substance knowledge and findings for sharing them in an appropriate manner. I think the topic itself is very clear now. So can anybody tell what is hypothesis? Please write in the chat boxes quickly, if you can. There are so many people, Miss Valera, and I can see David. Can you write? Okay. So basically to see whether it's true or not, whether it may happen or not. When you study something, you gather knowledge about something, that when, where, why it's taking place, and so on. So research is done like that only. Now, we may see characteristics of research. Now, here it should focus on priority problems, means anything which you have chosen to study that is supposed to be a priority problem. Then it's a very systematic method and structured procedure, which means you have to do your literature work first. Identify your variables. You have to see theoretical part as well. You cannot ignore that, which has already been developed in the past. So when it's systematic, it has to be logical because it's coming out of some theory. You need to back up by particular literature as well. Research is reductive. What does it mean? So there should be no repetition. There should be no replication of work because then each person's contribution is at stake. Research is supposed to contribute. You might have chosen a different topic, but it should contribute in the right direction as well. Now, when we say that research should be replicable, what does it mean? It means if there is a scope of finding previous research, then the topic can be same, but there should be new objectives also, so that I can extend the work of the previous author. Through my research, and I am giving scope to different researchers that such and such work can be done on that topic. All right. So try and focus all these characteristics of research, not only applicable to any research paper, but also applicable to your PhD research papers as well. Now we see the further characteristics of research. It should be generative. What does it mean? It should be generative. That means if you need to answer any questions, you need to check whether your research is generating any valuables or not, or it is just empty-handed. Your research should be action-oriented, which means like whoever who is writing a paper or doing PhD research, the last section of your paper or thesis mainly aims for the implication of the study. Either it is for society or practical implication, which means your study's findings should be action-oriented. Also, it should follow multidisciplinary approaches, which means research approaches from more than one discipline. You can stick to one discipline. For example, if you are studying about human resources, then you can adopt other methodology of psychology as well. So again, we see that research should be participatory, which means the stakeholders should be involved in that, provided that your research is of that nature. If anybody of you is working on project, there must be some participations as well. So we can see, last but not the least, it must be simply, timely, and time-bound also. Explanation should be there in simpler terms, not like jargons or heavy words or rocket science language. Then it's difficult to understand. Let the audience understand your research. The research should not stretch like a chewing gum. It should be time-bounding as well. All right. Now let's check about purpose of research. Basically, there are two kinds of research, namely exploratory and explanatory. Now, before jumping to any conclusion, that whenever you are going through any topic, try to go with literal meaning of its English. The term exploratory refers to explore, to find out, and the explanatory says to explain. So, exploratory research is basically which you conduct around a problem. You start exploring a problem. You start developing understanding of that problem, that what is the root cause of the problem and why and when it starts, like that. So be trying to explore more and more on that part. It details about understanding the problem. Now let me check with explanatory research. It's a causal research. It sounds like a cause, a reason, very simple, right? So you are trying to find out reasoning, why something is happening. You are trying to find out the reasons of associations of the factors. Now, coming to the descriptive research, the word itself is describing any problem. Now you are telling about everything about a problem, like how and what and so on. But you're not telling the why part that you will see in explanatory part, in the nature of dynamics. Let's understand this pattern here. The slide is visible, I think. Okay. Now, let's talk about research methods. How we will conduct it with the help of research methods. They are the ways which help you to conduct the research, to understand the topic, to understand the research, to identify a solution of a problem. Very simple. Let's see the methods also. All right. The first method, we see the qualitative method. This is very simple and basic, which means about the individual's emotions, their behavior, their experiences, which requires in-depth analysis, where you are trying to understand their behavior in a social setting. All these aspects require in-depth analysis of particular topic. So it is very useful in exploratory time. Why individuals cannot control their emotions? Why are they behaving like this? Trying to generate in-depth understanding of the chosen topic. So all these methods helps in qualitative research methods. Basically, you do not disturb the actual setting of your respondents. Let them behave the way they are. Now, we check ethnographic behavior. In this, we do not disturb the actual behavior of the respondents. In case study and record keepings, you keep on understanding the data. You understand a particular event or organizations. These are the ways in which you can obtain the data for qualitative research methods. Now, coming to the next set of research methods, that is quantitative research methods. Can anybody tell me what is quantitative research methods? You can write in the chat boxes as well. Can anybody? All right. Basically, the data which is supported by mathematical analysis. Whenever you are measuring the relationship, justifying the relationship with the help of statistical analysis. In qualitative data, you cannot rank it. However, in quantitative, you can measure it or rank it. Example, if I ask you, how many of you would like to go to a mall? So that is a quantitative research method. Now we see what are the quantitative research methods. They are basically descriptive research, survey, experimental, correlational, and research. Let's see the mixed research methods, which is also very popular. So there must be many people here who must be pursuing their PhD courses or DBA courses. Then what are the specialization area in which they are doing? So we have to see so many people here across the world who are doing so many such courses. This is such a great virtual platform where people are meeting here and we are discussing on the same. Now coming on a question that how many of you are conducting research through mixed methods? Many of us are conducting mixed method research. People generally think that qualitative research is at lower level than quantitative method, but it is not true. It depends upon the topic you choose. All right. So mixed method integrates both qualitative and quantitative research. It means it is a holistic approach, means overall, complete. It's always one of the favorite of all. It gives you lots of logical reasoning or it justifies it. You are giving the support to the data which you have collected qualitatively. Let's move ahead. There is mixed research methods which you can see. 3 designs, namely convergent parallel design, explanatory sequential design, and exploratory sequential design. Okay. When we start with convergent parallel design, we start with the data collection. You compare the area of convergence and divergence, whether there is similarity or dissimilarity between the quantitative and qualitative data. For example, it explains whether there is similarity between both the data or there is dissimilarity. Now, let's see the explanatory sequential design. You conduct the quantitative research over here. You collect the quantitative data and then follow it with the qualitative data collection. And then you take the interpretations. Then the interpretation part comes. You explain mathematical collected data with qualitative data. For example, someone says 48% of employees like to work with managers who is more empathetic. It means a lot. They want their managers to be more considerate, more sympathetic, to be more aware about their problems. Okay, let's move on to the exploratory sequential design. Here you see how you explore about a particular problem or concept. In this, first you conduct qualitative research, then quantitative one. Means first you will give logical reasoning and then statistical analysis for that. I hope it's quite clear. Now, let's see the research methodology. It's basically that process. It's a systematic method to resolve a research problem through data gathering using various techniques. Means you are pursuing from one point to another point with a systematic process. You go with the data collection, you go with analysis technique, and so on. That is research methodology. It's a sequential step to conduct a research. In this, you progress through various data techniques and reach the conclusion part. It interprets the data, which means, for example, if 46% of people are saying this, what does it mean? So everyone is not able to understand the percentage. So we have to give meaning to that percentage. Okay, that means we are interpreting that results. It can be further understood as how a researcher systematically designs the study to ensure valid and reliable results that addresses the research aims and objectives. All right. Let's move further and understand it. Research methodology is a skeleton of your research. It means it gives structure and shape to your research, body or study. It tells you various methods to be achieved or the way of conducting and analyzing the data. You give justification of what you have chosen. Now let's understand the significance of research methodology. How to interpret, which tools to use, and how to conclude. So, right kind of research methodology which tells you the right path of your research. Various scholars get confused what to choose. It becomes subjective then. Which methodology to go for? So it depends upon your nature of study, aims and objectives of your study. Whatever you have, your research topics or methods, it should be in aligned to it. Remember that, it should be in aligned to it. For example, if I say, what are your research methodology? I'm dependent also. It means you need to establish an alignment that these are my research objectives or that is why I have chosen it. When you are trying to justify your research methodology, you are trying to establish an alignment between your research and objectives. So, research methods are behaviors and instruments used in the selection and construction of the research techniques. So it's a tool, whereas research methodology is a complete procedure. You use research methods in your research methodology. That's a very simple and clear-cut difference, if we understand by that. Now, let's check aspects of research methodology. First is measurement objectives. These are those reasons why are you conducting your research. We measure the objectives with the help of data which we analyze. Many studies are stating numbers of objectives. Please don't go for that. It will make your study more lengthy and complicated maybe. Too many of objectives will lead you to too much of data collection and confusion. So, what is the common number of objectives then? Again, the answer is that it depends upon the nature of your study, what you have chosen. In my opinion, and what I'll advise it to be on the scale of 3 to 5. But again, it depends upon your research as well. For example, Any one of you who is doing DB here, make sure you keep 3 objectives here. DB is basically shorter form of PhD, capsule form of PhD. The PhD which you complete in 4 to 5 years, then DB you can complete in maximum 2 years. So your objective should be in a language that is understandable. It should be simple, clear, and not so lengthy. It should be crisp and precise. Now comes very important part, that is data collection. Basically, data is that piece of information on which you work. It can be quantitative or qualitative as well. So that data, you do your study. Data collection is how you get that information or access that information. Why you need that information? It is very important aspect of research methodology. Your research methodology should be explained very well. It should be very clear. Now, if we see the another aspect of research methodology is survey. Survey is such tool which you can use to collect the data. You collect the data with your predefined respondents, means your chosen samples. So you distribute these surveys to them. Why you give them? Because you want to understand what they feel, what kind of attitude that they and what they feel. You go and study in that, and what knowledge they can share with us on the chosen topic as well. Now, if we see, we can choose online survey also or physical survey also, depending upon the nature of the study. So we can go for both of them. Next comes your reporting plan. You conduct the information. So why you conduct it? The information that you can share it. You can let your supervisors or reporting body that what you have done. So a reporting plan should be clearly stated. It should be presented in such a manner that it is elaborating everything. So try to explain your milestones as well. Your review paper, reporting plan, just explain it. Now let's take the difference between the qualitative and quantitative research methodology. So we have already gone through this earlier also. In qualitative research methods, you are trying to get in-depth knowledge, data in detail, which we can say. In quantitative analysis, we use charts, diagrams, histograms, pie charts, bar graphs. So qualitative data will give you the reasoning and quantitative data will give you the numbers. Okay. Methodology for qualitative research. There are many approaches in this. Say grounded theory. What we do in that? They collect the data of a particular topic. Development of the theories can take place over there and we can proceed further. Then comes the ethnography theory, which means basically you do not actually take out the respondent from the natural setting. In action research, it is action-driven approach. The researcher and participant both are trying to find out a solution for a problem. Now we see the qualitative research methods, which comprises of observations, interviews, focus group, surveys, etc. We already discussed. Let's see the next slide, qualitative data analysis. We've already discussed that. In this, you prepare and organize your data, means transcribing interviews and all, that part. So next step is the patterns and responses. Later on, you provide codes to the responses, which have been identified by the respondents. In these, you prepare a spreadsheet. So you are translating your data, making it easy to understand. Now we come to qualitative data analysis. We have content analysis when you are categorizing some common words or finding out the common language for the applications. Finding the themes or patterns to examine the content structure and design of the text. And lastly, we see discourage analysis, which is about that you try to understand how communication path takes place. So we see the ethical consideration in qualitative research. Now we will talk about the methodology for quantitative research. Here we have survey research where questions are asked using online surveys, online polls and all, and we can get the answers to it. It's further divided into cross-sectional surveys and longitudinal surveys. It is basically where the researcher is intended to collect the data, a sample of the target population at a given time. So this is the main thing where we have to see. So in the survey, you are observing the respondents' behavior over the period of time. In one, there are multiple surveys at one point in time, and in other, you are conducting one or two samples, but at different periods of time. Now let's see the correlational research. What does it do? It tries to establish relation between the variables. The correlation researchers find out the relationship between two or more variables. Example, what is the relationship between stress and depression? If someone is stressed, he will definitely progress towards depression. That is quite obvious. Now see the causal comparative research. The effect of good education on a freshman. What is the impact on dependent variables? Change in dependent variables due to the independent variables. So what causes for what? Next is the experimental research based on one or more theories. The researcher is trying to agree with the statement or not agree. Example, in Maslow's hierarchy, when your basic needs are fulfilled, you move to the next level of hierarchy. So now let's focus on different sampling methods. We can have that slide, sampling methods. Whenever you have to conduct a research, you have to collect the data. So probability and non-probability methods are there, which you can see. In probability method, every respondent has some sort of changes of samples. And in non-probability methods, no chances are there. They can moreover classified into simple sampling, cluster sampling, systematic sampling, and so on. We can see from the slide itself. Let's come to the data analysis part, that slide. You can do data analysis by two methods, either by SWOT analysis, that is strength, weakness, opportunity, threats, or by conjoint analysis, in which you are trying to complicate purchasing decisions. Then in cross-tabulation, you are trying to establish relationships between the parameters. In turf analysis, which is total, unduplicated reach and frequency analysis, which is conducted where reach of favorable communication source is to be analyzed. Mode of communication or way of communication has to be analyzed. Now we come to the evaluation and justification of methodology. What you need to ensure, why you choose this method or why not. Weaknesses and limitations in your approach. So there are different opinions for everyone, so we need to justify that. So we now see the tips for writing a strong methodology in this. Sources, citation, which is a must. You need to make sure why this and why not others. What kind of difficulties you face in data collection. Simpler terms should explain your research methodology. Why your research is so important. All that part should be covered in that. All should be mentioned when you write a strong methodology. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed the session and it brings more clarity, with the topic itself. So all this presentation part should be sent to your emails. So not to worry on that part. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Deni and Dr. Dragon and my lively audiences as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for Dr. Anuja for a wonderful lecture about research methodology. Maybe in my opinion, this is the most comprehension and the most brief lecture about research methodology. I can learn so much from your lecture, and maybe someday I will need it for my college assignment, etc. Thank you so much once again, and I'm so sorry I cannot open my camera because recently I have a power failure here. So this is so my lights went off. All my lights went off, and so I apologize that I cannot open my camera. So now we are moving on to the next agenda, which is a Q&A. For all the participants, if you have questions regarding about Dr. Anuja lecture, you can simply drop your questions in chat room, or maybe you can chat privately to Dr. Anuja.
I have a question, Anuja, Dr. Anuja.
Yes, sure, Dr. Supriya.
What do we mean by scientific study and why is this important? What do we mean by scientific study and why is this important? Okay. What do you mean by scientific study and why is this important? Yes. I think a study is regarded as scientific if the following three standards have been met. Structured observations, which are made from which valid conclusions, which can be drawn from that, and the research and its conclusions are subjected to the peer review as well. So findings are, I think, refutable in that. I hope it justifies your question. Yes, thank you so much.
Okay, hi, this is Neha Shrivastava, and I would like to question Miss Anuja Malik. Ma'am, the webinar was quite indeed very presentable. And my question number one is when is the both quantitative and qualitative method beneficial? If you could answer this.
Okay, thank you so much, first of all, for liking the webinar. So we can say that certain types of projects benefits are there from the strategic application of quantitative and qualitative methodologies. So a recent study which we completed for a computer monitoring manufacturer, which you already discussed, illustrated this point also in that. So I think it justifies your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. And one more question I would like to ask you. What is the observational method of research?
What is the observational method of research?
Of research, yes.
Okay. I think in a naturalistic observational research, the observer does not intervene at all. The researcher is invisible and works hard not to interrupt the natural dynamics of the situation being investigated. I think this justifies.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Supriya and Dr. Neha Shrivastava. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for Dr. Supriya for your questions, and thank you so much for the answer. Maybe another questions from other participants. You can freely ask your questions by drop your questions on chat room or just open your microphone. Or maybe while waiting for the questions, I actually want to ask you, Dr. Anuja, about maybe your research. In your opinion, can you share to us about maybe your research and what is the most used, the methodology you usually use for your research? Maybe you can share to us about your interests, maybe.
I think it depends upon the study or nature of study what you have done. So I always take an example what I studied earlier. And, I keep referring all the notes and details from my friends and my, peers and colleagues. So that helps me a lot. And even I take, helps of the experiments, surveys, interviews, all those observation part. and the groups and the mixed methods, which I've already told you.
Okay, so what specifically field are you interested in right now, or are you mastered in?
Means you want to know about the subject?
Yes, ma'am. I want to actually.
I think the
curious.
quantitative part, that attracts me more, the quantitative analysis part.
Oh, so it's data
That
analysis.
was my subject also in my, MBA. That was my main subject also, the quantitative analysis part.
Okay, interesting. That's actually a subject I
Thank you so
usually
much.
hear.
Thank you.
Okay. Maybe there are questions from the participants. And I also want to remind you guys to don't forget field attendance link that I have shared in the chat room. This is a requirements if you want to get an e-certificate. Okay. I think there's no more questions for Dr. Anuja. Maybe I will end the Q&A sessions. Thank you so much, Dr. Anuja Malik, for your time and for your lecture and also the comprehensive lecture that you have shared to us. And I believe that your knowledge will be so useful to us, especially for the participants that join IYSA competitions. And we actually record the Zoom meeting, so all the participants will get the recording and also the material of the presentation from both of the speakers. Once again, thank you so much, Dr. Anuja Malik. Thank you so much, Professor Joepri, and thank you so much, Mr. Deni Irawan, for attending tonight's webinar. I'm so sorry that in my place it's still a power failure, and I waited for like 30 minutes, but it doesn't show any progress here. So maybe that's the end of this webinar sessions. I also want to remind you guys about I2ASPO and NASPO competitions that will be conducted in December. So if you guys are curious about our events, you can visit our Instagram page or IYSA official. Thank you so much, guys, for attending this webinar, and I will end this meeting. My name is Rikandi Ayu as a master ceremony. Would like to apologize if there is a mistake, maybe by my behavior or my words. Thank you so much, everyone, and see you on the next webinar. Goodbye.
Cek di end aja, di end aja. Udah selesai, Cek. YouTube-nya juga ya. Ya. Ya udah.